A beautiful day for softball in Oxford, Mississippi as we wrap up the series between Ole Miss and number 13 Texas A&M. The Aggies have already clinched the series win and are looking for their second sweep this season in conference play. Former Rebel Carly Hummel and Jake Cremata with you today as we welcome you into the broadcast. And the story in this series, Carly, is just Texas A&M taking advantage of the free passes and Ole Miss has given him 17 walks issued this weekend by Ole Miss pitching, resulting in 8 Texas A&M runs. What adjustments do the Ole Miss Rebels have to make today?
I mean, I think today they're going to have to limit the amount of free bases that they're given, and I think if they want to compete and avoid the sweep here today, it's really going to start in the circle. They're going to have to be a little bit tighter. They're going to have to work a little bit more on fundamentals and really kind of keep their pitches at bay here in order to keep enough Aggie players off of the bases.
Yeah, absolutely. And the series production from both Cassie Reisner for Ole Miss and Kelsey Mathis for Texas A&M. We start with Reisner. 5 hits this weekend for Reisner. She's the only Ole Miss player with 2 multi-hit games this weekend. And then on the other side for Mathis, 6 RBIs this weekend, including 5 yesterday. She was the reason she had 5 of the 7 runs for Texas A&M yesterday. And this is why. She was just on fire yesterday.
I mean, she's come in clutch, I think, today or yesterday for the Aggies softball team, especially with, having runners on base. There's nothing more you want than to have them execute at that given opportunity.
And Cassie Reisner's just been on fire in her last 5 games, too. 11 for 18 at the plate, including 4 home runs. The solo homer she hit yesterday. Also 10 RBIs in this stretch, too. Texas A&M, a lineup that came into the weekend top 3 in the conference in hitting percentage in league play at .322. And again, 17 walks drawn. That's led to 8 total runs. They haven't had to make a lot of noise offensively this weekend because they've just been doing what Ole Miss has given them and taking advantage of it. And if you're Kyra Aycock, you got to be on your A game today.
Yeah, absolutely. I think today, you're going to watch her come out hopefully just a little bit more solid for her team, seeing that she didn't see as many innings as she typically does on a Friday start for a series. You hope that after the last 2 days, she was able to get some good rest, make some adjustments here, and really just kind of settle in, lock in, and throw some good pitches today.
Yeah, Aycock was unable to get out of the first inning on Friday. Lily Witten came in for her after she allowed 6 runs in the first inning. And she looked to get some revenge on these Aggies and hope to have a lengthier outing than she did on Friday. First pitch from Aycock today is a good start against Kennedy Powell. Called strike. And the series finale between these two. We're off and running. It's an interesting game yesterday. Ole Miss down 4 runs into the 5th, able to tie the game on a 2-run home run at 5-5. Then Emily Boyer walked the bases loaded to begin the next inning. In a controversial interference, maybe not interference, but Kelsey Mathis grounded to shortstop with bases juice, scored 2 runs, and that's her 7-5 ball game. And Ariel Kowalewski, Ole Miss had the winning runner at the plate with runners in scoring position at 2nd and 3rd. And Kowalewski picked off Izzy Rediger at second base to end the game. Aycock's 2-1. Hit the other way, but foul. So Ole Miss trying to salvage one today. And if you're Texas A&M, you're looking to improve to 11-4 in SEC play. This is their 4th SEC series win. They swept Kentucky. Looking for the sweep today against Ole Miss. 2-2 is chopped over the head of Starr, and deep in the hole, it's Reisner who gloves it, and Powell is safe on first. That is Powell's 5th hit of the weekend. She's 4 for 9.
Powell has been fantastic for the Aggies this weekend. I mean, I think that she's done a great job as the leadoff, and I think she's done her job almost nearly every time. I mean, when she gets on base, it seems like the momentum kind of starts to shift for the Aggies, and if you're not in trouble yet, you will be, could be soon.
If you're not in trouble yet, you will be.
You will be. I mean, she's so quick.
She's a threat to run with 17 stolen bases this season as Edwards lays the bunt down, but it's foul. And 0-1 to start to Talon Edwards. Couple of former Oklahoma State players going toe-to-toe right here. Aycock, the transfer from OSU. Edwards also spent the last 3 years in Stillwater. And a roller to Pickens, could be 2. They get the force out at second base, and Reisner turns it. Great start for Kyra Aycock on the 4-6-3 double play. 2 away for A&M. We mentioned Pickens and Reisner. Also Yamas at first base. Brian Starr is at third, and you see Maddie George, the freshman, right now 1 home run away from Ole Miss's regular season home runs record. Taylor Malvin and Leilana Applin join her in center and in left.
Texas A&M is challenging the call at first base. The call in the field is out. The play is under further review.
All right. Heard from Alex Leap, who's making our announcements today. Tatum Stolting is behind home plate for the first time this weekend. Scott Mayer is at first base. So much like yesterday, where Birmingham had a pretty busy afternoon, we're already making them work.
I feel like that's kind of how it goes. You either use your challenges like real quickly at the start of the game, or they come later in the game. But it's like I couldn't imagine what it's like when it comes to like making that choice, trying to figure out whether or not you want to use it now. Should there be another situation, a dire need that
After
you can
review,
use it later?
The call in the field is changed. The runner is safe. Texas A&M obtains 2 challenges.
You got white out?
I could use it. See, but you color code things. I should do that.
Yeah. Well, that's what you get for being a psychopath. Well, take back everything I said about Aycock before the challenge. However, Powell is still retired. Edwards is safe on first. So Edwards reaches on the fielder's choice. And here's Maya Perez from Corona, California. Just a OPS out of this world. And a batting average, too, of 447. And you know, this has nothing to do with her, but I was excited to see her power this weekend, but she just hasn't had to really do much.
She hasn't had to use it, no. I mean, I think that is also, you know, we've talked about what an elite player she is because of how patient she is up at the plate. I mean, and her walks for home runs really are just a true testament to that.
High bouncer to Star left side. They go to second for 1, but they can't turn it. So another force out at second base, 2 away as Perez is on first base. So back-to-back fielders' choices for A&M's offense in this first inning, and that brings up Michaela Ward. But Perez has walked 5 times in this series, and now she gives way to Wark, who has also walked 5 times. These two have combined for over 30 homers together. Wark fouls it off. Friday night, she went oppo, hugged the right field foul pole for a 3-run home run. It was her 17th on the season and 6th in conference play. Another Oklahoma State former teammate of Kyra Aycock. These two teammates, former teammates should say, had some success at OSU too. Went to the Women's College World Series together. In 2023 and 24. However, Talon Edwards and Michaela Wark, they were a package. They were just so close. Kind of felt like during their recruiting process, wherever one went, the other followed. Wasn't the case with Aycock. This is blistered up the middle and nearly took off the mask of Aycock. That'll get your heart racing as a pitcher.
Yeah, just a little bit. I mean, but look, you know, you can see even her now kind of shaking and smiling, shaking her head like she knew that was coming. She was going to get hit hard.
Looking at both her current and former teammates saying, oh my gosh. What was it? Exit velo on that. Results in Wark's 2nd hit of the series. Her first since her 3-run homer. Now she gives way to yesterday's hero, Ariel Kowalewski. This goes to the backstop. Perez is on the run. The throw over is in time. Does not look like A&M's coaches will challenge. So Bunker gets Perez at third after the wild, or I should say the pass ball. Aggies strand 2, no score in Oxford. Kate Munnerlyn gets the nod today, the sophomore from Los Gatos, California. Left-handed pitcher Carly. What are we going to see from her today?
I mean, you're going to see a completely different dynamic. The girls have really, Ole Miss has really only seen right-handed pitchers. She lasted just a couple of batters yesterday in Saturday's game. So I think today what's going to be key for them is, just getting a little bit more familiar with seeing the ball come out of a different hand. There's a different aspect with a couple of different pitches.
And just a third of an inning against Ole Miss allowed a home run to Maddie George. And George hitting in that 4 spot today for the Rebels. 8 of Ole Miss's 11 runs this weekend have come via the home run. 4 solo home runs, 2 two-run shots, including a solo home run from this young woman at the plate right now, Kennedy Bunker. She shows bunt, lays it down. Kowalewski throws her out at first. No, beg your pardon, foul ball. If you're Kennedy Bunker, you're thinking, thank goodness.
Another opportunity.
Well, Bunker hit her 6th home run, or I should say 7th home run of the season yesterday. Second most homers on Ole Miss's roster as Munnerlyn calls for time. Something about her and leadoff home runs lately. Bunker led off the Tennessee series with the home run, which Ole Miss won that series in Knoxville. Ole Miss's first ever series win at Tennessee. But that was 2 weeks ago. Had the Easter weekend off. Got a couple of midweek wins coming into this one. Bunker fouls it off, 1-2. And Friday night found themselves down 9-0 after 2 innings. Wound up falling in that one 10-6, and then yesterday with the winning run at the plate fell 7-5.
I think Ole Miss's offense has showed up. It's really been, in the circle where they've struggled. If they can keep those at bay and, limit the amount of walks, I think today they could come out with a win.
You're definitely right. 20 hits this weekend for Ole Miss, the most they've had in a conference series this year. And Bunker gets fooled. What a pitch by Munnerlyn. I mean, slowed her down by a mile here.
I mean, that's going to be a tough pitch right there. If you can't identify what that is by the time it's leaving her hands, she was just fooled there on the off speed.
Taking a look at KK DeMent at shortstop today for Texas A&M, joined by Edwards up the middle. Powell and Perez are on the corners. Allen, Mathis, Fragile in the outfield. Kowalewski back behind home plate. Same old for Texas A&M. Here's Mackenzie Pickens, who was on Ole Miss's Women's College World Series team last year. 2 for 7 in this series with 2 doubles, a double in each game. A near home run Friday night. Kind of in a funk. You feel like she's coming back around as she rips this to the right side hole, a base hit. It's her 3rd hit in the series. And right, she was just so impressive last year, you felt like it would have been hard to follow up anyway, but this is the Mackenzie Pickens I think Ole Miss fans are used to seeing.
I agree. I think she struggled in the first few weekends of SEC play. I know she had a pretty solid non-con, but I think that she's finally, seems like whatever funk she may have been in, she's breaching her way out of at this point.
1 down for Ole Miss. Here's Percy Llamas sitting 3rd. From a game 1 to now standpoint, Llamas, without a doubt, Ole Miss's most consistent hitter. Got her first 2 hits in the series yesterday. One was a 2-run home run to tie the game in the 5th. Just her 2nd home run, I should say, 1st home run in SEC play this year. She had 2 against conference opponents last year when she was a freshman. I know Llamas isn't a right-hander, but today is a right-handed batter's dream.
Yeah.
Winds gusting out towards left field today. But Llamas can go oppo. She's done it before. And Munnerlyn deals. It's fouled off. 2-2. What a catch in the stands. A young fan. No better feeling than that when you're sitting in the seats and you make the play. She's going to throw a no-hitter someday.
Right.
Maybe it'll be on this field. Maybe it'll be somewhere in the SEC. Full count. That's what I love about coming out to softball games. You see so many younger fans here with their parents. This is just a family atmosphere.
On a beautiful Sunday,
Yeah.
nothing better to do than after church.
And Yamas hits this high in the air, deep right. Vragel's at the wall and makes the catch. A near home run for Yamas. An even better read for Vragel in right.
I mean, you talk about how if she were a right-handed batter, that ball easily would have been over the fence. But, I mean, she just does a great job right there of getting contact and all of the contact there.
Vragel had to jump a little bit. Don't know if that one, not sure if she brought that one back, but George pops this up a mile high. Dement, the shortstop, called off by Mathis, the center fielder, who makes the catch. And we're through the first frame in Oxford as Ole Miss trying to salvage one today. A&M looking for the sweep. Wanted their favorite softball players to sign Owalas for them too. Just catch a glimpse of that wind today. 12 miles an hour. Blowing out. This is a pitcher's nightmare today. We haven't had a gusting wind like this all weekend. You kind of hear it too from our camera mics picking up the wind. Skowalewski leads off this second inning. She was at the plate, and when a pass ball came through, Maya Perez was gunned down at third with 2 outs, and there you see that wind and its direction. Again, a right-handed hitter's dream. I said 12 miles an hour, 21 miles, yeah. Sorry. Numbers can be hard.
Agreed.
Kowalewski from Richmond, Texas. Teammates call her AK. Her head coach, Trisha Ford, said she's a quiet kid, but when she puts that gear on, she's someone else. Gotta love a player with an alter ego once they put that uniform on and they become the grittiest person you've ever met.
It's like super suits, you know?
Yamas fielded in foul grounds. Kowalewski will go back to the plate. This is pretty close. We've had a couple of these this weekend, balls that have kicked off the bag.
Those are always the most deadly, or ones that are just straight up the line, because you don't exactly know where defense is playing. A lot of them have shifted over.
Kowalewski rips this into right center. Down for a base hit into one, hops the wall. This will be extra bases for her as she halts at second base. Her 14th double this year. That's second in the SEC and top 30 in the country.
She just has wonderful power. I mean, to be a girl of that size and be able to hit the ball that hard, that is just straight power.
Showing off her offensive power. We saw her arm power yesterday behind home plate when she picked off a pinch runner at second base to end the game with the winning run at the plate in the 7th. Now, Kelsey Mathis, like we talked about at the top of the broadcast, is on a heater. 3 for 6 this weekend with 6 RBIs, including 5 of them yesterday. Career best 5 ribbies in a game. She was responsible for 5 of Texas A&M's 7 runs. A 3-run shot and bases loaded. Bounce one to shortstop.
You love to see hitters come up in big moments. I mean, she only has 4 home runs on the year, not typically what you would consider a massively home run hitter. I mean, but to come up that big for your team and go ahead and give, a little bit more cushion to the Aggies is just what you want.
Her 4th home run of the year. Aycock misses. Now 3-0. Aycock, the veteran in her first season at Ole Miss, struggled on Friday night. And deals a strike there. She allowed a tied season-high 6 earned runs against A&M on Friday. Aycock allowed 3 runs while she was in the circle. Then Lily Witten came in for her and allowed 3 more that were charged to Aycock. You know, when you have an outing against a team where you struggle, I'm sure you've been in the situation before. Carly, you're a pitcher back in your heyday. Is there extra juice in your next outing to want to get revenge a couple days later on the same team?
Absolutely. I mean, there's no better feeling than to get another opportunity, knowing too that, you know, you start on Friday. Typically, you have there's a high probability that you're going to be throwing on Sunday.
Off the nub of the bat by Mathis. But also, as a pitcher, you don't want to be too emotional about that, right? You want to still stay even-keeled, level-headed.
You have to. I mean, I think that's the hardest part about pitching is, you know, if you allow yourself to kind of get inside your own head, that's when things really kind of take a turn for you. I mean, and at this level, you can't afford to let that happen.
3-2 to Mathis. The other way, right to Yamas, who makes a basket catch. 1 down. Kowalewski still in scoring position at second base.
I mean, that's just a hard hit ball too, opposite side. It about popped out of Yamas's glove, but she was able to hold on to that, which is just a fantastic. She's such a great job. Does such a great job at first.
One of the best, Percy Yamas. Everybody talked about her offense last year, and Jamie Traxel halted me one day. She said, "Let's actually talk about her defense today." And I go, "Oh, okay." Here's KK Dement, shortstop. Speaking of strong defenders, yeah, this young woman's one of the best shortstops in the country. Softball America ranked her the 8th best shortstop entering 2026. She was at second base all last year, too. Finds the hole into left field, base hit, as Kowalewski advances up to third base. So now A&M has runners on the corners. 38th hit on the season for KK Dement, and her second this weekend. Defensively, she's been stellar. Offensively, it's been tough. 0 for 4 Friday. Got her first hit of the series yesterday. And a pinch hitter in the second inning for Texas A&M. And it's Maddie Sowney, who's been clutch as a pinch hitter for Texas A&M lately, especially last weekend in that series win against Georgia. She was 3 for 4 with 2 RBIs in that series. She bounces us up the middle and continues to be a pinch hit RBI machine for Trisha Ford. Texas A&M's on the board on the true freshman's 12th RBI this year.
I mean, hits like that are always tough. It's hard for you to defend. I mean, and it's just up the middle, you know, closer to the second base side. But what a great job! What a nice RBI right there.
And plus, she went up there swinging, didn't waste no time.
I think we've seen that a lot from the Aggies over the weekend, is how aggressive they've been on first and second pitches. I think, you know, their strategy has just been to be patient up there, but also, you know, they've given them the green light on so many at-bats and so many different stellar situations. I mean, with runners on first and third, there's really nothing else you can do or ask from your girls but to swing away.
It's Nancy Evans inside the circle. A little bit of you and me time between her, Aycock, and her catcher, Kennedy Bunker. But back to Sowney, Trisha Ford said that she's starting to understand what it takes to play at this level, and that's why she's been getting so many opportunities lately. Again, the go-ahead RBI single last weekend against Georgia in Game 1 in the 6th to go up 3-2. Tied Game 3. She gets a RBI single in a 1-1 tie. I mean, those are big situations in SEC play that she's being called upon, and she's stepping up every time. And then today gives A&M the lead here in the second.
I mean, I think that's just the difference between, you know, experienced elite players and those whom, you know, don't always have all the confidence there. I think, you know, especially in situations like that, it is so important that when you put somebody in there to do a job, that they get that job done.
Being called upon too in the second inning, Paisley Allen's supposed to be hitting 8th. I'm sure Allen will re-enter defensively next inning. Here's Frankie Vrajel, sophomore, hitting .343 this season. On pace for a career-best sophomore season at the plate. Runners on first and second base. Texas A&M, early 1-0 lead, looking for the sweep today against Ole Miss. Aggies have swept Kentucky in conference play. They've clinched their 4th SEC series win. Ole Miss trying to salvage one. They're 2-12 in conference play, near the bottom of the conference. 2-1. Well, all that talk about walks at the top of the broadcast, Texas A&M doesn't have one walk drawn yet. Vrajel swings away, 2-2, fouls it off. They're swinging against Aycock today.
They are. I mean, I think that that's kind of also the adjustment you wanted to see from Aycock, was just her kind of really locating the strike zone, being able to place a couple of pitches in a different spot than she missed on Friday. I think it's, you know, it's going to be crucial if Ole Miss wants to stay in this game. They're going to have to limit the amount of free bases given.
2-2, high chopper, up the middle. Pickens gloves it, but has no play. Bases are loaded for Texas A&M. And they're juiced for Kennedy Powell, who's at the top of the lineup. This inning got started with a double by Kowalewski. And then a hard line out to first base by Mathis. Singles by Dement, Sowney, and now Vrajel. And here's Powell with 22 RBIs this year. Out in front of the off-speed.
I'd like to see Aycock use a little bit more of that today, and honestly, I think that's what's going to be one of the most stellar pitches for her. She's going to have to use it, and she's going to have to use it a lot if she wants to keep the long ball at bay, too.
Especially against Powell, who's hitting .444 with runners in scoring position this year. And does have 5 hits this weekend. This is a big moment here already in the second inning.
I think Powell's ability to really, I mean, she can slap, she can swing away, is one of the strongest attributes that I think she brings to the Aggies team, especially with runners on.
Disappointed in herself there. So now she's down on the count 1-2. Double play gets Aycock and Ole Miss out of this mess. But Powell can do damage. 2-time NFCA All-Region honoree. The 2-2. Swing and a miss. 2 away for Aycock and Ole Miss.
And that's a big out right there for Aycock. I mean, she does a fantastic job of really dialing in here. We've seen her in these similar situations with bases loaded, 1 out, and given up a couple more runs than I think she expected to. But that's just a fantastic job of locking in, really throwing a solid pitch and getting her to sit down.
Just the 10th strikeout by Kennedy Powell this year at the plate. Think about that for a moment and how big of a second out that is for Aycock. Aycock's not really a strikeout pitcher either. More of a, she'll pitch you to contact and let her defense work behind her. As Edwards sends us the other way. Long run by Applin, who reaches out and makes the catch. Texas A&M leaves them loaded, but they take a 1-0 lead in this second inning. So Ole Miss will grab the bats. And we'll have to play from behind yet again, like they have every game in this series. In the hunt for an NCAA tournament at large bid. And I think SEC softball, you could probably go, I mean, you can't go winless, of course, but this conference is so hard, and there's so much respect for this conference and how tough it is that you could go 3, 4, maybe 5 wins and make the NCAA tournament, because the committee knows how hard it is to get through this.
It's the hardest to compete in. I mean, and to think that you really only need a handful of wins in order to kind of bid you into postseason, it does seem wild.
Here's Ole Miss's hottest hitter at the plate on a 5-game hit streak, all multi-hit games, too. Cassie Reisner, 11 for 18 in her last 5 games. That was the best decal that Jamie Traxel was able to put on that outfield wall. As Reisner flies this out to left, puts it up in the jet stream, but just not hit hard enough. And getting the nod today in the DP spot for Ole Miss is Rachel Connors. Man, yesterday, Connors in a pinch hit situation coming off the bench. She was the winning run at the plate. The 2 outs in the bottom of the 7th. With the tying runs on 2nd and 3rd. She's ready to live out a dream to potentially win the game for Ole Miss, tie up the series. And then Ole Miss gets picked off at second base for out number 3. And I say that story because I think Rachel Connors deserves this start today in this moment.
Yeah, I think that, you know, there's always moments, especially for these DH hitters, when you're able to kind of just come in off of the bench. You know you have a job to do. It also puts a lot of pressure, I feel like, on you and your position and your role. But I do agree. I think that nobody else deserves this but her.
Seen Taylor Roman in this spot, too. Roman just 2 for 24 at the plate in her last 11 games. There's Connors homered earlier this week against Sanford. And Connors hits this into the jet stream as Sowney's back at the track. The wall, and it runs out of here. A moment well deserved for Connors. Her 3rd home run of her career and 2nd this week. And we're level at 1 in the 2nd.
We were talking about giving her an opportunity, and here's exactly what we were talking about. You know, really just coming in a clutch moment and going ahead and tying this game up here 1-1 with a solo shot.
7 home runs for Ole Miss this weekend. An SEC Series best. Leilana Applin, who's gone yard this weekend. At this point for Ole Miss, who hasn't hit a home run.
That's what it feels like.
Texas native from Stanford. Began her career at Angelo State at the Division II level. And gets robbed by Edwards at second base. Wow, what a snag.
That's just a beautiful effort right there. I mean, she literally times that ball in out perfectly, gets so far off the ground and just snags that to rob Applin from a base hit.
Edwards just served up a snow cone to Leilana Applin. 2 away for the Rebels after tying things up on Rachel Connors' solo blast to left. It's Ryan Starr at the plate with just 3 hits this season. Starr thought about the bunt for a quick sec, pulled back, 2-0. She's been starting at third base the last 13 games. She was an everyday player for Ole Miss in her first year back in 2024. Her defense was just so valuable, but she hit just 162. Began her career at Syracuse. She's from Long Island, New York. Hit 240. So now Kalalewski goes out to chat to Munnerlyn. Three-0 count to Starr. Taylor Malvin on deck, serving as a second leadoff hitter in that 9 spot for Jamie Traxel. And that hits Starr. So 2 away and 1 on for Ole Miss. And now Starr is going back to first base. Tatum Stolting, the home plate umpire. Scott Mayer, who's at first today, Alex Leap, who's at third, get together to chat this one over. Yeah, I want to see this one more time. Did this hit the bat?
It looks like it hit her shoulder before it hit the bat. I mean, if not both, but I imagine that's what the conference here is about.
Jamie Traxel's getting her explanation. I think the call was foul ball. And that's why Tatum Stolting's going to chat with Coach Traxel. Meanwhile, Trisha Ford will use this as a moment to chat to her pitcher. That's a foul ball. You got white out?
Yeah, I need it again. If I could write fast enough, I'd do it all over again, but I can't.
Right. So now it amounts to a 3-1 count to Starr. Still with 2 away. Well, a big break from Munnerlyn here. Now it's strike 2. Payoff pitch. And Munnerlyn rings her up on the inside edge. Thought she hit her. Umpires called Starr back. And Munnerlyn gets the 3rd out. But Rachel Connors, with her 2nd homer this week, uses the jet stream to sail one over the wall to tie this game up at 1. Chances are you've already done that. So congratulations. Maya Perez leads off this inning for Texas A&M. Top half of the 3rd inning. Reach on the fielder's choice her first time up today. Gosh, what a opportunity for A&M back in the top half of the 2nd. They had bases loaded and 1 out. And they only had 1 run to show for it. Kennedy Bunker gets her pitch comm fixed or switched out. But you can't help it if you're Trisha Ford to look back at that inning and say that was an opportunity missed.
Yeah, I mean, you've watched them all weekend be able to capitalize on moments like that, produce a little bit more, manufacture a couple of cushioned runs. I mean, and I think really it's going to come down to that at the end of the day. I think you're watching a better outing from Kyra today in the circle, which makes those, the probability of those situations happening a little bit less.
Aycock, too, like you mentioned, pitching better today, more consistent than she did Friday when she walked 3 inside the circle and eventually gave up 6 earned runs. I mean, she had Ole Miss's best ERA in conference play coming into the weekend, so of course she gets that nod on Friday. Perez shoots it where nobody is. Ole Miss was in a bit of a shift on Perez. She laces it into left for a leadoff single. The leadoff hitter for Texas A&M has been on base every inning today.
I mean, we've watched her take some oppo. I mean, most of the weekend, really. I'm a little surprised by the shift there on the defense from Ole Miss, but Perez is just good. I don't know if it really matters where you play her. She's either going to walk or she's going to hit something hard.
Yeah, she's 47 hits now this season. Gives way to Texas A&M's other power hitter, Michaela Wark. Had a single back in the 1st inning. Something else I found amazing about Coach Ford's crew this weekend is that the leadoff hitter has reached in 12 of 17 innings this weekend. That's this game included. 1-0 is fouled off. that first hitter can get on base, boy, your chances of scoring runs way easier.
Yeah, I mean, and it's also, it makes you press, I think, a little bit too, is the defense. If you're under the same impression, you know that their leadoff batter has gotten on, I mean, almost every time, if not every other. You're expecting it.
Yeah. Death, taxes, and Texas A&M leading off an inning with a single. It's just inevitable. And it missed. 3-1. 3-1 count to Wark, who came into today with the came into the weekend rather, with the 5th most homers hit in the SEC. She draws a walk. Her 6th walk of the weekend. And after Kyra Aycock struggled with her command and her control in game 1, she's just walked her first hitter today. And Jamie Traxel comes out of the dugout. Nancy Evans, the pitching coach, is also out, walking down the third base line. Ole Miss is going to make a pitching change here. Emily Boyer's coming in. So Aycock's day is done. A short leash for Aycock as Ariel Kowalewski came up to bat. All things considered, Aycock, pretty decent day, especially with the 7 hits, only 1 earned run allowed. Well, we'll tell you about Emily Boyer when we come back in Oxford. Why the switch to Emily Boyer?
I don't know. I'm a little surprised by that. I feel like it's a little preemptive there. I mean, I think, it was just her first walk, and given that we've seen so many throughout the weekend from the Ole Miss pitching staff, I think I would have liked to have seen her be there in the circle a little bit longer, knowing, too, that Boyer threw 140 pitches or so yesterday. So I don't know what the dynamic is. It's outside of maybe switching it up every couple of innings, trying to keep these A&M hitters a little off base here.
Boyer, too, part of a massive transfer class that Ole Miss brought in the offseason and had to because they lost so many players from that Women's College World Series team last year. 16 newcomers, including 10 freshmen. You see them here, Boyer being one of them. Boyer also one of 2 from the Division II level. Applin at the top of your list came from Angelo State. Boyer coming from West Texas A&M, and she's from South Dakota. But 7 innings yesterday. Boyer's 10th complete game this year. She walked 7, struck out 9 though, but allowed 7 earned runs. She faces Kowalewski and misses to start. Could be a matchup thing too. But I agree with you.
Thanks.
And 1-1 to Kowalewski. A double in her last at bat back in the second. Also came around to score. It's Kowalewski's 14th double this year. That's second in the SEC. In terms of strikeouts, it's been a good week for Boyer. Struck out 10 against Samford earlier this week, and then again added 9 yesterday. Like the story all weekend though, walks have been a problem. But Boyer, the long ball, has also been an Achilles heel to her game. Blooped left field and sinks down in front of Applin. And deja vu for Texas A&M. Bases are loaded here. They were only able to get 1 run in last inning with bases loaded and 1 out. Now they have all 3 outs to work with.
I mean, again, another opportunity here for the Aggies that I think that, we lacked to see them clutch anything the last time this happened or was their situation. But I don't imagine that, that head coach Trisha Ford's going to let slide again.
And if you're Ole Miss, you're thinking, it's Mathis at the plate, who has 6 RBIs in this series with 5 of them yesterday. If you're Texas A&M, you're thinking, heck yeah, we got Mathis at the plate, who has 6 RBIs this series and 5 yesterday.
Some soft contact, I think, is what Boyer is going to need here, and no long ball really. Just kind of throwing a little bit lower in the zone, not letting anybody get anything, letting anything travel as that wind is pouring.
Yeah, you can probably hear it back home. Just a wind out towards left, gusts up to 20 miles an hour. And it's favoring right-handers today. I swear the wind's blowing harder than that. There you go. There's our proof. 24-mile-an-hour gusts today. Pulls it foul. Right idea.
Yeah.
Two-two count to Mathis, who's been a tough out all weekend. Had a hard line driver last at bat right to Percy Yamas. Yamas didn't have to move. In fact, it was hit so hard it almost popped out of Yamas's glove. Rings are up on the inside edge. Massive first out for Ole Miss with bases loaded.
I mean, and this is what you want to see from Boyer, especially after throwing such a long game yesterday, painting that inside corner. I mean, I think she just got Kaluski. I mean, I don't think she had thought it was coming or even thought it was a strike, really.
100 strikeouts now this season for Boyer. She faces KK Dement. And Dement takes ball 1. 30 ribbies this season for Dement, hitting .233 against the SEC this season, which is down from the .258 she swung against the league her freshman year. Pops it the other way, but foul. Does have 4 doubles in conference play, which is top 5 in the SEC. An extra base threat at home plate right now. And she launches this high and deep to left. No doubt about it. KK Dement blows it wide open with a grand slam in the 3rd. And a grand giddy up at home plate for the shortstop.
I mean, before I even said it, I was like, you go inside on her right now with the wind. I knew she was going to take, I mean, she's had such hard contact throughout the weekend.
(5-1) Texas A&M looking for the sweep today against Ole Miss. Like we've said all day, a right-hander's dream at home plate.
Come true.
Yeah, I guess you could say it did come true for Dement. So Maddie Sowney stayed in the game after her pinch hit single back in the 2nd inning, and an RBI single too that gave A&M the lead. Foul ball. 1-2. Paisley Allen originally was scratched to start today. But once Trisha Ford had runners on the corners, she summoned Maddie Sowney off the bench. And she looks at strike 3. Two backwards Ks for Boyer in this 3rd.
It's hard to say she's had a tough outing because I mean when you retire two of them away looking, but then give up a grand slam. I mean I don't know if there's just some mechanisms they need to work on when it comes to pitch placement or who we're throwing to, scouting even.
Yeah, I agree.
It's just tough to stay on top when it's hot and cold.
And it's the 18th homer too that Boyer has allowed. It's been a problem. But again, this is also Boyer's first year in Division I, in the toughest conference in the country. Her ERA in SEC play is .781. That was entering the weekend. She faces Frankie Vrajel, and Vragel's behind 2-1. This A&M team, though, they're red hot. 4 series wins. Their only series loss was to Texas. Coming into the weekend, sitting 5th in the SEC, 13th in the country. RPI is the highest it's been all season. They also snapped Texas's 29-game home win streak in the finale a few weeks ago, too. Two-twos off the plate. This is an Aggies team that wants to get back to Oklahoma City for the first time since 2017. Felt like they had the talent last year, but failed to make it out of their own regional as the #1 overall seed. Payoff pitch, up in the zone. Strike 3. Boyer gets 3 outs, all backwards K's, but the damage done by KK Dement. Grand slam into the jet stream and left to give Texas A&M a 5-1 lead. New pitcher for Texas A&M. Kate Munnerlin got the start, dealt the first 2 innings. And Trisha Ford, in her 4th season with Texas A&M, going to Sydney Lessentine. Team's ace. This makes sense to go to Lessentine.
Yeah, I think she's had the most experience throughout the weekend, and she's been successful. I mean, why not kind of do the same thing that Ole Miss is doing, kind of throwing off those offensive hitters by showing them something different every couple of innings.
She closed the game yesterday and got the save. And that 7-5 win. It was her 3rd save of her career, once again her 2nd this year. Ole Miss got to her Friday, scoring 4 runs, 3 of them earned. Rebels with 8 hits in Lessentine's 3 2/3. And what we harped about with Lessentine is she faces Taylor Malvin. This is Malvin's first at bat today. She's able to reinvent herself during the weekend, attacking different parts of the zone. She could be a drop ball pitcher one day and then go up on you up in the zone the next.
I think she does a really great job of also just nailing those corners. I mean, I think that, she's working a little bit more on her off speed, which is more than likely her drop ball that she's been throwing a little bit more.
Goes down in the zone there to Malvin. Her goal this year was just to own the field, having the confidence to go out there, not be a scared freshman. Lessentine, true sophomore from New Mexico. And misses there. 2-2. And as a freshman, she led A&M in ERA, WHIP, an opposing average 2. Check swing. Did Malvin go? She did. The appeal down to 3rd base. Alex Leap rings up Malvin. Malvin does not agree. The top of the order comes up for Ole Miss.
I mean, again, we were talking about that rise ball, and there it is right there, and Malvin just not able to kind of hold the barrel back.
And video evidence says she went. As Kennedy Bunker comes up, struck out to begin the bottom half of the first inning. Leadoff hitter takes low. One and one. You mentioned Lessentine able to hit corners very accurately, and that's something she's talked about too on radio shows and in post-game interviews. Finishes inside to Bunker. Says it's game-changing that she can work all parts of the zone. Something that she's worked on, especially as a true sophomore, being as accurate as she could be in some of her outings. Obviously, she's human. She'll have her outings where it's not as pristine, but
the luxury in that is being able to call on other pitches. You know, I mean, if you have go-to pitches and it's only one or two, the hard part is if that curve or the screwball is not working that day, what else can you throw to kind of help keep batters off balance? Being able to work all sides, all corners of the plate is what separates the elite.
yeah. Called at the knees to Bunker. A Fresno State transfer in her first season with the Rebels. All Mountain West second teamer last season. Hit over .330 in 163 games played at Fresno State. Fisted in the air, third base side, and Powell takes care of it. 2 away for Lessentine in this third. Now it's Mackenzie Pickens with the single her last at bat. Pickens takes high for ball one. Her and her twin sister, Madison, were high recruits out of Buford High School in Georgia, which is like the softball mecca of the state. They both had different recruiting experiences, though. Ole Miss was in on Mackenzie, and Louisville was the top spot for Madison. Twin sister right now hitting over 400 this year. Louisville's also receiving votes. Quick call of time here for Kowalewski. Yeah, quick exchange between Kowalewski and her pitcher, Lessentine. Diamond Sports and the Pickens family. They have a eldest sister, Caitlin, who played at Emmanuel University, Division II in Franklin Springs, Georgia. As Pickens works a 4-pitch walk. First walk of the outing for Lessentine.
You don't see that very often from her. She's not a very, she didn't give up a whole lot of walks. So, I mean, I think right now it's her third day in a row that she's thrown. She's been in the bullpen, if not outside of the circle. I think that, you know, partly too, she's tired. It's been a long weekend for her.
Well, I was just about to bring that up, and I'm glad you read my mind. Just the 17th walk this year by Lessentine.
I feel like her pitches are a little bit more wild and missing a little bit more than they in different areas than they did yesterday. I mean, I feel like, you know, you didn't see very many get away from the catcher. But it also, you know, it could just be fatigue.
And again, we're acting like it's 6 walks in a row. It's just one.
It's just one.
With 2 outs. But your point to be made, this is the 3rd day in a row she's pitching. Last time she did this was against Texas a couple of weeks ago. But 16 total pitches, 9 balls, 7 strikes. Still a small sample size. She pitched in all 3 games at LSU and Kentucky, too. Got 1 game off last weekend against Georgia. She faces Percy Yamas. And her 6th homer of the year yesterday, Llamas. She had 10 a year ago. Her teammates call her Papa.
I always loved the nicknames.
Well, their chant is go, Papa, go, Papa, go. And they're not doing it right now. I was hoping they would. I guess you can hear them a little bit say, let's go, Pop. I thought maybe it was because she has a lot of pop to her bat. So I was waiting for her to say, yeah, this is the reason why. But one day someone just called her Papa and it stuck.
It stuck.
It's the most boring story of all time of how a nickname came to be. She yanks this down the line, hugging the pole, but it's foul. Because, you know, when nicknames originate, you hope it's something funny, or you hope it's something between teammates where they, you know, make fun of each other or something. Maybe it was something they got in travel ball, but inside jokes, sometimes they originate without really a funny story. Still 2-2. Did you have a nickname inside the circle?
No, I don't think so. I think they called me by my last name.
That's even worse.
I mean, you know, look, you want a storyline. Sometimes there's not a story for anything. It just is what it is.
Come on, Hummel.
It's what sticks.
Be good in the circle.
Hum. Yeah.
Okay, that's better. Ripped to first off the glove of Perez. She sticks with it, dives to the bag, and gets Llamas. Hot corner at first base as Perez retires Llamas, and Ole Miss leaves one stranded in this 3rd, down 4. Trisha Ford making our lower 3rd camera really work with all these steps she's doing in the dugout right now. In her 4th season with Texas A&M, 16th overall as the head coach. With the series win this weekend against Ole Miss, now she's won 15 of 21 SEC series. Her team's too ranked in 53 of the last 58 ESPN top 25 polls. Last season, led the Aggies to the #1 national ranking and #1 overall seed in the NCAA tournament. The Aggies won 48 games last season, most since 2008. They finished 2nd in the SEC regular season standings. As Powell leads off this top half of the 4th inning in Oxford. The Aggies looking for the sweep today. Texas A&M also coming off back-to-back 40-plus win seasons. Were the co-SEC tournament champs last year with Oklahoma due to weather. Also, Coach Ford played and also began her coaching career at St. Mary's in California. As Powell gets a piece of it. Coach Ford was a boss in her day. The only female student athlete in school history to have her jersey retired. Also inducted into the school's Hall of Fame back in '07. Oh, 2 to Powell, and she bounces it to Talon Edwards on deck, who is shaken up right now and saying, Kennedy, what are you doing?
She just fell right into the fence. Look, not even expecting it. Whoa!
The side eye right there is amazing. I'm glad we caught that. Now she's paying attention on the on-deck circle. 1-2. On the ground, first base side, and slips through. Kennedy Powell's 2nd hit today. And her 6th in this series. She had 6 hits in the Texas series a couple of weeks ago, the most she's had in a SEC weekend. Now it's Talon Edwards, Oklahoma State transfer. Edwards shared a pretty cool story on one of Texas A&M's radio shows not too long ago about what drew her to Texas A&M as she shows bunt. After Oklahoma State played the Aggies last February, she realized she didn't want to play for Oklahoma State anymore. She knew she wanted to find something different. She said she had a microscope on every team that she played because it was a possibility for her to, maybe she'd go there and play for that head coach or have those teammates. But when she played A&M, she remembered the amount of swag that they had, the grit they played with, their playing style. So when A&M called her, when she hit the portal, it just made sense.
It was a quick yes.
Down the first baseline foul. And she said, playing against Texas A&M in Clearwater, that A&M would be pretty cool. Got cool traditions. College Station, great place. SEC softball, competitive team. Especially after what they did last year in the regular season, who wouldn't? But nowadays, when you think about it, playing another team and thinking, huh.
Now that that's an option, you know.
Runner goes and Edwards stays alive. Well, the reality is that it is an option. But I did think that was a really cool story that she talked about. But the people also drew her to Texas A&M after 3 years at Oklahoma State. She's not a big materialistic person. She just wants to go have fun. And A&M has fun. We've seen that this weekend. Edwards continues to stay alive. But she told Trisha Ford, I don't want this to be easy. If I get yelled at, cool. Like, motivate me. If I need to be punished, make me run poles.
I don't know if anyone loves running poles, but
Well,
I get what you're saying.
If you deserve it, and she feels like she does. But she wants to be coached tough, and she is under Coach Ford. Swings and misses, up and away. First out for Boyer. Still with a runner on first base.
I mean, a little bit different outing here for Boyer. I know she had a couple strikeouts yesterday, but watching her really kind of come in here clutch situations, I mean, with no outs and, you know, Powell advancing already, it just makes it tough.
Again, we've seen Ole Miss before, and we've told the story that Emily Boyer, who now has 4 strikeouts today and 23 this week, just has gone through an internal battle this year. Just coming from the Division II level, not really trusting her stuff and really believing that she can compete at this level.
It's got to be hard, too. I mean, if that's already your mindset, I think that, you know, might be where one of the adjustments need to be made, though, is working on the confidence and knowing, too, that, you know, all you need to do is put the ball into play. You have a full defense behind you that is willing to have your back. Giving up at the long ball, I think, is also, you know, a struggle, but that's going to happen in the SEC. It's just you're not going to go games without them.
2-0 misses and slips past bunker, something you don't see from the veteran catcher much. 3-0 to Maya Perez. Now Powell in scoring position at second base. You just have to laugh at Maya Perez and the amount of times she's walked this weekend. 6 times now today, or this weekend.
Between her and work, both.
Yeah, and here comes the other walking machine. 12 walks between the two of them.
That's crazy. For the amount that they've had this weekend, they both account for over half.
Yeah, I was going to say it was 17 coming into today. Add 2 more to the total. And now here come the ball 6 chants from the Aggies dugout. Both a tradition at baseball and softball. 1-1. Aggie softball right now in the driver's seat for a sweep. Taking care of business so far here in Oxford. Still plenty of ball game left, though. They'll host Mississippi State in College Station coming up. On the ground to Starr, who steps on third, looking for the double play and gets it. 5 stars for Ryan to get out of this inning. And Ole Miss keeps it at a 4-run deficit as they grab the bats when we come back.
I mean, she does such a great job right there. We've talked about her defense and how strong it is. I mean, to be able to play that ball perfectly like that, tag her own base and then make that second play there is a huge out for them.
Texas A&M on top of Ole Miss looking for the sweep today, and you were obsessed with Lessontine's nails during
I love
break.
them. They look great, but there's just, I don't know how you're throwing with talons that size. It's incredible, really. I mean, maybe it accounts for the spin. I don't know.
Because you could never do it, right?
Oh, no, absolutely not. No. I want to say my coaches also, didn't allow it.
That's fair. But
They were all for makeup. You could dress up, you could be what you wanted, you could wear bows, ribbons, flowers, do your thing. But, nails were a solid no-go.
Lessentine faces Maddie George. One swing away from where only one other freshman in Ole Miss history has ever been. 14 home runs in a single season at Ole Miss. So you're saying the nails don't add to spin, they don't add to the grip, nothing?
Absolutely not for me. No.
Well, it's not like she's throwing knuckleballs or anything. And
no, but
really
she is
dig
throwing
into
heat, and she really is being. I mean, I don't know. I think it accounted a little bit there's just you lacked control a little bit with them, but that's clearly not an issue for her.
Clearly throwing heat. She picked up the save yesterday with those nails.
I didn't recognize. I honestly haven't seen them all weekend. I'm like, how am I just now seeing those?
So that's something you all notice on TV?
Yeah.
That went over my head. George, off the inner part of the bat, comes on. Fragile, should say, coming on and makes the catch. And Maddie George 0 for 2 today and gives way to Cassie Reasoner. Spent the first 2 years of her career at Kentucky. Entered the portal after her career best year last year, where she hit .289 with 46 hits, 10 homers. Comes into today with 9 homers after a solo jack yesterday. One and one to Reasoner. 0 for 1 today, now 5 for 9 in this series. Without a doubt, her best weekend in SEC play. Should have 3 hits against Alabama to begin conference play and 3 against Oklahoma a couple of weeks ago. Earlier this week, Reasoner set Ole Miss's single-game RBI record with 7 against Memphis. Clobbered 2 homers, both 3-run homers, and also had a sac fly RBI. What a day. He's carried that momentum into this weekend. 11 for 18 in her last 5 games. Sometimes you just see it really well at one point in the year. She is. Chase is outside, though. Lessentine's second, and she's had all the answers since she came in last inning. Rachel Connors is responsible for Ole Miss's only run today. A solo home run to left into the jet stream. That wind gusting out beyond the left field wall. Her second home run this week. Now 3 homers in her career, Connors, all 3 coming this year. Someone who's patiently waited her turn, Connors. Now 2 for 11 against the conference this season. Got some at-bats against Tennessee, including in the finale in Game 3. Some big ABs in that rubber match. Or I should say the game that Ole Miss could have swept in Knoxville. Had a couple hits against Oklahoma. Been used sparingly as a pinch hitter. Lessentine's really hitting those corners.
She is. I mean, and I think that she does it equally on both sides. I don't think she just kind of favors one, you know, in or out on depending on what the batter is, left or right-handed. I think that that's what she does such a great job of, is such a solid mix and combination of pitches.
Catches her looking on the inside edge. Back-to-back strikeouts. And the second one looking. 3 of them now for Lessentine. Speaking of hitting corners, Lessentine sends Connors back to the dugout in disappointment. Looking for the sweep against Ole Miss this weekend. Aggies with 10 hits, including a grand slam back in the 3rd inning by KK DeMent, her 7th homer this year. They'll open this game for the Aggies, who once again looking for their 2nd SEC sweep this year. Ariel Kowalewski with a 2-hit day, 2 for 2, leads off this 5th. That 3rd inning, the Aggies went single, walk, single to load the bases up with nobody out. Kelsey Mathis struck out looking, and then DeMent hit the grand slam to left. Pop behind home plate. Bunker has a play. Had enough room to make the catch. It's the first time Kowalewski's been retired today.
As a pitcher, there was nothing that made me more happy than plays just like that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Why? Because they were easy outs?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you didn't expand on it. I just wanted to know. Sorry about my general curiosity.
No, and it's also neat to see your catcher too. I mean, with all the hair, like with all the gear, everything else, and being able to find the ball, get up underneath it, and stand, make the catch. I mean, it's a hard position. We've talked about catchers all weekend and about, you know, how difficult that position really is to field, to play.
Mathis at the plate, 0 for 2 today. With the hard line out to first and a strikeout looking. Fouls it off, right side. It's 2-1. It's an interesting dynamic between Kelsey and her brother Patrick, who played baseball at Texas. Think about it. She's at A&M. He went to Texas. Heated rivalry. It's lighthearted, but you know they've kind of created that family feud between the two. She talked about how her dad was a diehard Texas fan when her brother played there, but then she'd sneak some Texas A&M gear into his gifts, and you know, daddy's girl, he's gonna fall for it.
He has to.
Now he wears maroon and white. Shows bunt and fouls it off. That's my favorite, though, when a parent is a diehard at whatever school or team, you know, whatever, and then their kid goes to the arch rival, and then dad's always like, no.
I'm not doing it.
Never.
Then he has to.
Then you know he goes to games, softens up a little bit. He wants to wear the jersey with his kid's name on it and her number, and dad's always going to cave. But no, she says her brother Patrick, one of her role models, watching him play at the college level was a great experience and pushed her to want to play at a higher level too. Kind of love the sibling bond, or I guess in this case, sibling rivalry to motivate the other. Popped her up behind home plate. bunker giving chase, but doesn't have enough room this time. Still at full count to Mathis. 8th pitch of the at-bat 2 coming up. First base side, and we'll do it again.
We're talking about the pitch count for this at bat. It's not something you've seen Boyer do a whole lot today. I mean, I know she's only been in for a couple of innings, but it is an adjustment I'd like to see and have liked to see, that she's not getting as deep into counts, and I don't think she's, isn't having to waste as many pitches.
Ball 4. Boyer with 2 1/3 innings, and now is up to 56 pitches. Whereas Aycock threw 2 innings today to start this ball game, and she threw 52. Here's KK Dement. She's the reason why this is a 5-1 ball game right now. Grand slam. Back in the 3rd inning. Two for 2 today, singled her first time up. She sends another deep left. It's got a chance. She's got another. She wanted to blow the game open even more. 7-1 Aggies. That's what getting 6 ribbies will do for you.
I mean, you talk about loving an inside pitch. Both that she's been able to take over the fence today have been on the inside. I mean, she really does such a great job of leveling that barrel, staying behind the ball, and just turning on that inside pitch.
Paisley Allen's first at bat today. Takes a strike. Second home run allowed too by Emily Boyer this afternoon. Saw Maddie Sowney hit for Allen the last 2, and she rips this into right, but curls foul. So the kicker is with Allen, she was slated to start this game. She was in the lineup. And then Texas A&M had runners on the corners in the 2nd, and Coach Ford pinched hit Allen for Sowney. Sowney batted again in the 3rd, struck out looking. Did play left field in the 3rd too, or I should say in the 2nd and 3rd. But Allen goes down looking. Five strikeouts for Boyer, 3 of them looking.
2 of them coming after both home runs that she's given up today. I think that's a solid answer back. I just wish they'd come a little bit sooner.
And Larissa Perez will pinch hit in this 5th for Frankie Vrajel. Sophomore in her 2nd season with Texas A&M. Swings and misses. So her numbers this season, Perez, 1 for 7 at the plate. Comes up empty there. One and 2. Boyer's 2-2 with 2 outs. Aggies in the driver's seat for a sweep this afternoon. And Perez keeps this inning going with 2 outs. Back topside to Kennedy Powell. Second walk this outing for Boyer. And Larissa Perez reaches with the 2-out walk. Powell's 2 for 3 today with 2 singles.
Another one of those tough batters that you don't want to face right now with runners on, or none at all, honestly.
I think he'd just rather not face her ever.
Yeah.
She's that good. Look at these numbers. She was 4 for 11 against Georgia last weekend and having an even better weekend now. She chases it low and away. Perez is on the move, and the throw down is in time. So Perez gets caught at second base, and that ends this 5th inning. More damage done for Texas A&M. KK Dement's second multi-home run game as Bunker throws out Perez. 7-1 A&M.
All right, fans, come your feet. It's time for the 5th inning.
Be their second sweep in SEC play. Swept Kentucky earlier this year. Sydney Lessentine back inside the circle, facing Leilana Applin to start. Applin today, this is her second plate appearance, and held up on the check swing, 1-0. So the story in this one's KK Dement with a grand slam and a 2-run homer. She's responsible for 6 of Texas A&M's 7 runs.
Talk about having a day.
It's her 3rd multi-home run game in her career. There she is at shortstop. She's played a heck of a shortstop. Been quiet defensively, and honestly, all year in league play, but it's just exploded today.
It's like she opened that up today.
Well, she had 2 homers against Texas in the SEC tournament last year in that 14-2 semifinal win that eventually put A&M in the SEC tournament championship. They were eventually co-champs with Oklahoma due to weather. Lessentine misses, 3-1. Then she homered twice against Kennesaw State earlier this season. (3-1) and misses inside. So Applin works the leadoff walk. This is the first time all afternoon that Ole Miss's leadoff hitter reaches. Second walk of the outing for Lessentine since she came on in the 3rd inning. Here's Ryan Starr. Struck out looking her first time up back in the 2nd inning. Thought she got hit by a pitch, but the umpires came together. They determined that the softball hit the bat first before it hit her. She tried to get out of the way and had the bat in an unnatural position, and then she struck out looking. Talk about a brutal way to get retired. Swings away and finds the gap, right center. It's Ole Miss's 3rd hit today. Leilana Applin gets the red light at 3rd base. And if Edwards, who was the cutoff man, threw to 2nd base, they would have got Starr. She was so far off that 2nd base bag. But it is Ryan Starr with a double.
You like to see her come alive offensively. I think, we talk a lot about her defense and how stellar she is out on the field, but you like to see her take this opportunity and go ahead and put two runners in scoring position.
It's Ryan Starr's second double, tying her career high, set her freshman year back in 2023. She had a double in the Memphis midweek game not too long ago. That double was her first since February 8th of 2024. That was Ole Miss's opening day in 2024. So a massive spot for Taylor Malvin here in an attempt to cut into this 6-run deficit for Ole Miss here in the 5th. Malvin struck out looking her last at bat. The infield probably would have been playing in anyway on Malvin. The slap hitter was 3 for 6 in game 1, 0 for 3 yesterday with the strikeout looking. She airs it out left side, and it drops. Powell was on the run, and Dement, the shortstop. Allen now, who's back in left field. See what Taylor Malvin can do. Ole Miss today, now 1 for 4 with runners on base. A bloop left side over Dement and down for a base hit. Applin scores. Malvin's up to second base. Their first run since the second inning. Taylor Malvin's 18th RBI this year.
This is a little bit of that momentum that you need with nobody out. You have runners on and in scoring position. I mean, there's no better time to start seeing the ball really well than right now.
It was Ole Miss's first at-bat with runners in scoring position today. And they execute there, and with runners on second and third again, this time it's Kennedy Bunker. And Bunker check swings. It's a strike. Give Malvin the single and advance to second base on the throw. A 1 pitch is fouled off left side and into the seats. Nothing in 2 to Bunker, who's 0 for 2 today.
And she's had a really good weekend. I think you'd like to see her be able to kind of put the ball into play here and at least reach back.
Especially since she's on a season-long 5-game hit streak and season-long 8-game on-base streak. First real sign of struggle since the 3rd inning for Lessentine as well. Replaced Kate Munnerlin, who got the start. Pitched pretty well, only 2 hits allowed and a solo home run to Rachel Connors. Had 2 Ks. Bunker yanks this. Foul. I'll tell you what, if you're Ole Miss, you get 2 runs in here with nobody out. Put up a crooked number, this is a brand new ball game.
Yeah, I agree.
But they've had these chances before, especially Friday night. Down 9-0, just never got that crooked number to get themselves back in it. Fully, at least. Bunker pops up. And Lessentine takes care of it. Right, and that's been their story, Ole Miss.
I mean, outside of, I think their pitching has struggled, and I think that both games, Friday and Saturday could have ended a lot different had the pitching been a little bit tighter for them in the circle. But I mean, that's where A&M has really showed up and showed out. They both, they out-hit the Aggies yesterday, and then today you're watching a little bit different of a story here with A&M 11 hits. Ole Miss only producing 4, but at least producing 2 runs. I mean, they're not in the game; they're just not enough.
Starting to climb up that mountain. Like you said, is Pickens 1 for 1 today with a single and a walk. She's the type of player with 1 swing could get Ole Miss within 2. Ole Miss Friday and Saturday lost both games and had 10 hits in both games.
Yeah, I mean, their offense is, they're working. They're working hard. They're showing up. I mean, at least you've got some production for them there. It's just not being able to string in or string along some of those hits, being able to add a little bit more cushion to the board. I feel like timely hitting is something that you've watched Ole Miss kind of struggle with offensively.
Yeah, and big deficits early in the game. Pickens back up the middle, slips through, base hit. One run is in for the Rebels. Here comes Malvin. 2 more in for Ole Miss here in the 5th.
You know, we've talked a little bit about Pickens kind of, taking her a second this year really to kind of wake up. I mean, and there's nothing, this is exactly what you want, being able to string some of these hits together, being able to add a little bit of production. I mean, and she takes that ball once again right up the middle for a base hit.
A 3-run 5th inning for Ole Miss, and Trisha Ford out to have a chat with Lessentine now that Percy Yamas has come up with 1 away for Ole Miss. This was a 6-run deficit after a grand slam and 2-run home run by KK Dement in her last 2 at-bats in the 3rd and 5th inning. Ole Miss has shown fight all weekend. It's just, again, the deficit's just been too much for them to fully finally get to the pinnacle of, I guess you could say, the peak. They just haven't been able to get over the hump.
Yeah, I mean, but I don't feel like that comes at the lack of the offense. Like, I think offensively, Ole Miss has done really, really well. It's just their defense has struggled a little bit. Being able to string along some of those plays, being able to get in and out of a couple double plays has been great. But, I mean, I think that the Circles struggled a little bit more this weekend. Had they been a little tighter, it may have been a different series.
Percy Yamas takes high. She had a home run yesterday that came up in the clutch to tie it 5-5 late in the game, and then Ole Miss eventually fell 7-5. Yamas takes low. First real sign of struggle by Lessentine in her relief outing. Had cruised through the 3rd and 4th. With 3 strikeouts, only 1 walk allowed, no hits. And Yamas in the air, left field line, dropping fast, and it's foul. Tatum Stolting, the home plate umpire, calls it foul. Crowd does not agree.
I was going to say, that looked like it hit the line there, but I mean, there is no challenge. And I guess you don't want to. You want to see her come up a little bit.
And that looked foul to me. Two one is ripped. High, deep right center, and out of here. Papo makes it a 1-run game. Ole Miss down 6, puts up a 5 spot in the 5th. It's a brand new game in Oxford.
I mean, what a beautiful way, nice way to show up from Percy Yamas, to be able to kind of sit back, especially after having that last little foul ball there. I mean, she really does just get every piece of that ball.
And a change for Texas A&M inside the circle. Taylor Pinnell coming in. Lessentine's cruised through the first 2 innings, could not get out of this 5th, and it's a 1-run game. We'll tell you about Taylor Pinnell when we come back in Oxford. What a turn of events in Oxford. 7-1 ball game coming into the bottom half of the 5th. Sydney Lessentine had pitched an incredible 2 innings. And a leadoff walk, double, RBI single, pop out, 2 RBI single and 2-run home run have changed things. as Pinnell faces Maddie George, who takes strike one. What type of different look does Pinnell offer to George here?
I mean, I think you're going to see a lot more speed here, or a lot more spin, sorry. I think that she's, obviously is a left-handed pitcher, so it's going to be a little bit more tough for girls to make an adjustment.
She has 2 saves this season. ERA is 6.16. 15th appearance out of the bullpen. It's George fooled 1-2. She's 0 for 2 today with 2 flyouts. It's Pinnell, big in late game situations. 26 career saves, including 15 her sophomore year at Missouri. Those 15 saves tied an NCAA single season record. Pitched an inning and a third against Ole Miss yesterday, allowed 1 hit, threw 19 pitches, and recorded 1 strikeout. Now in a massive situation in this 5th. A&M's already clinched the series. Ole Miss trying to salvage one. Swing and a miss. Much needed second out for Texas A&M. And a big one too with Ole Miss's home runs leader sat down.
Her off speed is her best pitch. She really just sells it with her entire body, which makes it really, really hard for hitters to pick up on. If you can't see it on the spin, then what you're looking for most of the time is like a body language gesture where you're slowing it down to get it to stop.
And there it is again. What do you see from her body that she does? Is it?
You can't pick it up at all. That's what she does.
Yeah.
Best is like she's able to sell her pitch with her entire body, which makes it really hard to pick up.
One and one. Cassie Reisner, 0 for 2 today on a 5-game hit streak, all multi-hit games. It's been Ole Miss's hottest bat in the last week. 1-2. When it seemed like Texas A&M was going to cruise away with a sweep, Ole Miss said, with a 5-run 5th inning. And Reisner flies it out to left. Allen makes the squeeze. Brand new ball game in Oxford through 5 innings. Percy Yamas with her 2nd home run of the series gets Ole Miss within 1. A 5-run, 4-hit inning for the Rebels. So it is a brand new series finale between Ole Miss and Texas A&M. Aggies were cruising, up 7-1, going into the bottom half of the 5th inning, thanks to a grand slam and 2-run shot by KK Dement in the 3rd and 5th innings. And Ole Miss did not roll over on this perfect Sunday in Oxford, scoring 5 runs off 4 hits and a free pass 2 off Sydney Lessentine in the bottom half of the 5th inning. And now this is a brand new ball game. Top of the order at the plate, Kennedy Powell to begin this 6th. Powell's 2 for 3 today, 2 singles and a strikeout. Yesterday, Ole Miss had momentum. Remember, Percy Yamas had tied the game 5-5 on a 2-run shot to right center. And Emily Boyer was in this situation, momentum on her team's side, and began the next inning. Walk, walk, walk. Nobody out, Texas A&M, bases loaded. It was Kelsey Mathis who got the hit to the left side of the infield to score 2. Will we see that again today as Boyer deals ball 3?
Yeah, I mean, you hope not. If you're Ole Miss, and especially they're just on offense, how well they did and how being able to answer back. I mean, it's not that they're not in these games. They just need their pitchers to be able to hold on to it.
That is walk number 3 by Boyer. Oh, beg your pardon. It's 3-2. Excuse me. On the ground, first base side and gets through. A 3-hit day for Kennedy Powell. She's just inevitable.
She really is.
I mean, what does somebody have to do? She now has 7 hits this weekend. Powell leads the team in 3-hit games. She now has 6. Edwards shows bunt and bunts it foul.
I think what Texas A&M has been able to do too is to kind of ride that momentum. Like once they get one of their batters to reach base, I think that they do such a good job of answering after that and not really giving up. I mean, I know we've seen a couple of situations where they've had, bases loaded and they haven't been able to produce a whole lot.
Can Talon get the bunt down? She cannot. Now 0-2. You'd assume she's swinging away here, but
sometimes the coach will make you do it.
Well,
this close, I don't know.
Yeah. You know what they say about assuming. You can figure that out at home. Swing and a miss. Edwards down for a second time today on strikes. 1 down.
I was about to say, give her something off of the plate or something a little off speed there, but knowing that she's got the green light here to swing at anything that's close just to keep herself alive is a fantastic job by Boyer sitting her down.
Boyer had 10 strikeouts against Sanford earlier this week, added 9 yesterday, beg your pardon, and now has 6 today. She faces Maya Perez. Starts the count 1-0. 14 homers for Perez. We've yet to really see her power showcase this weekend because she's walked so much. 6 times. But if you followed A&M or just college softball in general, you've seen her get a hold of pitches. She has 9 doubles this year, too. Coming off a single and a walk in her last 2 at-bats. She also has a ridiculous on-base streak going right now. 44 games straight she's gotten on base. Second longest active in Division I. That is just absurd. I mean, you have to do a lot right, 1, and 2. Maybe there's a little bit of luck factor in there as well, but.
You believe in luck?
Of course. 3-1 is looped into shallow left center, and Applin can't get there in time. Two-hit day for Perez. She's 2 for 3. So she was 1 for 4 Friday and Saturday with 5 walks. So now today she's added to that. Now 3 for 7 in the series. Perez with her 14th multi-hit day. Gives way to Wark, and you know she's swinging. Maybe the best 3-4 punch, one of the best 3-4 punches in the country.
I think it's what makes this offense so lethal for the Aggies is this little dynamic right here, this duo that happens, is because, you have Perez, who is so patient at the plate. She's either going to get walked, she'll hit a home run, and is hitting well above 4. There's no better 1-2 than you'd like to see outside of that.
You have 86 hits between Perez and Wark combined and 31 homers. Crushes it into center, and Malvin watches it fly! Make it 32 homers between the two of them. And Wark's second on the series. A&M responds, up 9-6. 10-6 in the 6th.
Again, Wark loves to turn on anything that's inside, and she kind of just literally goes down and golfs that in. But what a fantastic line drive over the center field fence. That's a beautiful way to answer back if you're the Aggies.
3 homers today for Texas A&M, and they're back up 4. Kowalewski flies it out to left center. First pitch swinging, and Applin makes the catch for out number 2. What was a 1-run ball game coming into this 6th. Now all of a sudden, Texas A&M had something to say about Ole Miss's 5-run response last half inning. Here's Kelsey Mathis. But that's what good teams do. Someone comes in, punches them in the mouth. They respond right away with a swing for themselves.
Yeah, I think you have to. You know, I mean, you don't want to let the momentum stay, or once you've felt like it's shifted, like it was there for a second for the Ole Miss Rebels, what you don't want it to do, what you don't want to allow to happen in the next inning when it's your opportunity, is to let it go scoreless. You know, answering back with a couple more of those runs that Ole Miss just grabbed from them is.
Inside to Mathis. The appeal to first base, she did not go. Oh for 2 today with a walk and a run scored. Up the middle to Pickens. Fields it cleanly. Out number 3. Michaela Wark had something to say about Ole Miss's 5-run bottom half of the 5th. If you blinked, you missed it. A missile to straightaway center to put Texas A&M back up 4, looking for the sweep against Ole Miss. A 3 spot for Texas A&M, thanks to their leading home run hitter on the season, Michaela Ward. Her 18th home run, a 3-run shot, her second 3-run homer on the weekend. She hit her first one on Friday. It's her second here today. Texas A&M's back up 4, 10-6. They entered the bottom half of the 5th inning up 7-1. Then Ole Miss scored 5 runs to get themselves within 1. 7-6, and then Texas A&M responded in the top half of the 6th after a leadoff walk, strikeout, single, and 3-run home run by Ward. Leadoff walks, they always come back to haunt you some way. As Rachel Connors leads off for Ole Miss. Watches the spin go by at 57, or 52, 2-1. Connors hit a solo home run back in the 2nd to put Ole Miss on the board and tie the game at 1. I think Ole Miss has it in them again after a 5-run bottom half of the 5th. Can they put up another curled number here in the 6th?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's possible. I think that they've done a great job of kind of getting ahead and attacking some of these pitchers as they've watched them change throughout the innings. But I think, you know, drawing a walk here with nobody out is a great way to start.
Taylor Pinnell issues the walk to Rachel Connors. She's pitched against Ole Miss before in the past, including on this field last year. The series opener, just 2/3 of an inning, though, back when she was more of a closer at Missouri. And through an inning in game 2 and allowed 3 earned runs. Tenley Grisham comes in to pinch run. Just running for Connors. Here's Leilana Applin. And Applin takes strike 1. Walk and a run scored. That walk and run scored was in the last half inning. Just a tad high. Good get by Kowalewski behind home plate. Talked a lot about her yesterday. Was a catcher all of her life, even at Florida when she began her career. Then had to sit out a whole year. She was a mid-year transfer. Began in the outfield this year, Kowalewski. And A&M made the switch at catcher, and she has not looked back. 1-2 to Applin. Gosh, even up here in the press box, you can just see the movement on Pinnell's pitches.
Yeah, I mean, it floats. That's, I think, what she uses, for the better is her spin. And she's a lefty, which means it's coming in at a little bit different angle than you're typically used to.
Applin just puts the bat on the ball, and Allen was charging in, didn't get a good jump. Now there are runners on first and second base for Ole Miss. But even up here, it's tough to tell what's being. You know what Peters can do with 3 saves already this season. Will get the ball and hopes to slam the door shut on Ole Miss. What type of look does Sydney Peters offer these Ole Miss hitters?
You're going to watch her throw in the upper 60s. Her rise ball is going to be one of the hardest things for them to lay off of, especially since they've just seen a deficit in the speed here. She's not going to, she's throwing a lot harder than Pinnell was, and they're not going to see as much spin, and when they do, it's going to be rising up at them, not dropping as often as it was for Pinnell.
In softball next weekend, we'll have the big 3-game series between number 4 Texas and number 14 Georgia. Saturday's game is on the SEC Network. Sundays is on the Mothership on ESPN. The series finale is Monday night. It's back on the SEC Network, and all games are available on your ESPN app. Ryan Starr, the first Ole Miss hitter to see Peters today, shows bunt. Just makes a lot of sense that Ryan Starr would bunt here. A 136 hitter coming into today. However, her average up to 167 after her double her last at bat. It's not a ton of opportunities for Starr offensively. Didn't offer that time. 1-1. So a walk to begin this 6th for Ole Miss and a single by Leilana Applin. Ole Miss is in business with nobody out and runners on first and second base, down 4. Starr just loops it over everyone's head into shallow right. Rachel Connors holds up at third, and Ole Miss has the bases loaded with nobody out. Ryan Starr with a multi-hit day.
What a solid way to prove yourself, too, allowing yourself, we talk about how well she is or how good she does on the defense, but, I mean, her coming alive offensively really just solidifies her spot there at third base, especially if they're trying to make a push into the postseason.
It's her first multi-hit game this season. Ryan Starr can start to come back around offensively for the Rebels. Look out. As Taylor Malvin steps up, and a timeout for Texas A&M. Talking things over with bases loaded and nobody out. Huge opportunity for Ole Miss to get back into this game. Ryan Starr's last multi-hit game was at LSU on March 18th, 2024. So Malvin, the 4-year returner, who was on the Women's College World Series team last year for Ole Miss. One of the key pieces back from last year. Having a career year at the plate. First pitch swinging. RBI single her last time up. Snapped an 0-4 drought with 2 strikeouts. On the ground to short, Demet comes home with it, and A&M gets the out. That was just what Sydney Peters and Texas A&M wanted. Bases stay loaded, though, with 1 out. Here's Kennedy Bunker. who does have a homer in this series. She can tie it with one swing of the bat. This was a 7-1 ball game going into the bottom half of the 5th. Ole Miss scored 5 to get themselves within 1. The Aggies responded in the top half of the 6th with a 3-run home run by Michaela Wark. One and one. Bunker's had a hit in their last 5 games, season-long 5-game hit streak, but is 0 for 3 today. And Bunker skies it out to deep right center. Mathis is there. She makes the catch. Plenty deep for Applin as they throw to third. Stars safe. Applin is in. 10-7 ball game. Ole Miss down 3. Bunker doing her job with her 18th RBI in the year.
I know she's not reaching base a whole lot here in the last, this last weekend, but she really is showing up with these RBIs and those, being able to produce a little bit for the team, even if she's not getting on.
You feel good if you're Ole Miss with Mackenzie Pickens at the plate with 1 or 2 out rather. Percy Yamas on deck. And Pickens takes high. 2 singles today for Pickens, just her 6th multi-hit game this year. She now has 4 hits this weekend with 2 doubles. She too, Pickens, on that team that went to OKC last year. Had a stellar freshman year. That skips away from Kowalowski. Here comes Starr. 10-8 ball game.
I like the aggression on the base pass. I mean, especially with, having Texas A&M put 3 back up and making it now just a 2-run ball game.
Trisha Ford out of the dugout to chat to Tatum Stolting, our home plate umpire. A&M's challenging something.
Did she leave early, maybe?
Texas A&M is challenging that the runner at second base left early. The call in the field is that she left on time. That play is under further review.
Okay, so we'll be watching Taylor Malvin at second base. That she left the bag early. Got to look at it in venue, just one look.
No.
No. Worth a challenge, though, if you're Texas A&M.
After review, the runner at second base left on time. The call is confirmed. This is Texas A&M's first charge conference or review.
All right, Texas A&M loses a challenge. You hear left, like the first word, if you're an Ole Miss fan, and you go, oh no, left
right,
on
hang
time,
on.
and you go, oh, okay. Well, worth a look if you're Trisha Ford and Texas A&M. And now Kowalowski calls time behind home plate to switch out the pitch count. Two-one to Pickens with 2 outs. Squirts away from Kowalowski, but not far enough away from Alvin to come home. Three-one count to Pickens with a 2 RBI single her last time up in the 5th. Full count. Peters, payoff. Got her swinging. The throw down to first just to make sure. Pickens leaves a runner stranded on third. This is a 2-run ball game going into the 7th. Series finale between Texas A&M and Ole Miss. The Aggies looking for a sweep. Ole Miss trying to salvage one. And what a busy last 2 innings it's been offensively for both teams. 5 runs for Texas A&M in the 5th and 6th. 7 runs scored for Ole Miss the last 2 innings. And a late pitching switch for Ole Miss. Emily Boyer was out there warming up to begin this inning. And now all of a sudden, Nancy Evans flips to Lily Witten instead.
I don't think that's a bad choice by them. I mean, I think she's come in so many save situations that I feel like Lily Witten enjoys this, you know?
Well, saw Witten's numbers on your screen. We're just going to say Emily Boyer, too, had allowed 3 home runs since she came in back in the 3rd inning to Texas A&M. Second most homers she's allowed in SEC play this season, too. That was the grand slam to KK DeMet. 7 earned runs and back-to-back outings, too, against the Aggies. But 6 strikeouts. She limited the walks today. 4 innings. There was good, there was bad, but A&M, again, they're a top 15 team in the country for a reason.
They are. They're going to answer back. I mean, and I think that that's part of the grit you're looking for from this Ole Miss team, too, is to be able to answer back when you have, you know, runs being produced on the other side, to be able to come back up and give yourself a solid opportunity at a win.
The long ball getting to Boyer again. She's allowed now 13 homers in SEC play. 13 of the 19 she's allowed this season are in league play. KK DeMet comes in, or to lead off this inning, I should say, and faces Lily Witten and looks at strike 1. The 3rd multi-home run game of KK DeMet's career. First one coming last year in the SEC tournament against Texas in the semifinals. And the clobbering against the Horns, 14-2. Second one coming earlier this year against Kennesaw State. Now 24 homers in her career. Airs it to the right side and foul. Lily Witten, a Missouri transfer in her 2nd season at Ole Miss, throws that one high. She was a mid-year transfer, so she had to sit out all last spring and this fall. It's her 22nd appearance. She pitched 7 innings Friday night against the Aggies. Came in for Kyra Aycock, who didn't record an out in that start.
It was a tough weekend for Kyra. I feel like, you know, she threw well today. I mean, I feel like the Aggies are gonna hit on any pitching, good pitching, mediocre pitching, but I think that, you know, what they do best is just capitalize.
And DeMet works the walk. Her first at bat today where she didn't get a hit. She's been on base now all 4 times. As Paisley Allen comes up, struck out looking back in the 5th inning. And the Aggies may summon a pinch runner for DeMet on first base. It's Ansley Gross, seen her all weekend, come in for a couple of Aggie hitters. .10-8 ball game. The Aggies looking for the sweep. It'd be their 2nd sweep in SEC play. Show bunt by Allen. Texas A&M's already clinched the series. It's their 4th SEC series win this year. Won the series against Kentucky, LSU, and last weekend against Georgia. Allen again lays down the bunt. It's a beauty. Witten off balance, gets the out. But Allen does her job.
It was always such a hard thing to do. Like once you're so used to throwing underhand, a lot of times, I mean, those overhand throws are a little bit more wild from pitchers. So I think that's kind of a little bit to be expected.
Fragile watches ball one go by. Back in this game, Fragile, after in the 5th inning, Larissa Perez came in to pinch hit for her and walked. She fouls it off. 1-1. Single in her first at bat and struck out looking in the 3rd. Witten's 1-1. Texas A&M got 7 hits on Lily Witten on Friday night, scored 4 runs. Witten did allow 1 home run. Struck out 2, but walked 7 hitters. Catches the edge, 2-2. Insurance run on second base. Top of the order on deck for Texas A&M. And 2-2's fouled off. Talked about the walks on Friday and Saturday. 17 walks by Ole Miss pitching the last 2 games, and today just 5. 5 still maybe a little too high.
Absolutely. I mean, I think, you know, they've struggled with it consistently, and you imagine that they're probably trying to make some adjustments, but you also have to go out there and just throw and try to give yourself the best that you can. I mean, you'd like to see those numbers cut in half. I mean, but nearly how many on the weekend now?
Looped in the left. Tenley Grisham makes the catch. Staying in this ball game after she was a pinch runner last inning. Well, to answer your question, 22 now on the weekend.
It's averaging about 7 a game. It's just it's too many. It's entirely too many. Hard to win games when you're giving away free bases that often.
Well, it's the most walks that the pitching staff for Ole Miss has had in an SEC weekend. The previous was 19 walks against Alabama, nearly fair down the line for Powell. So Ole Miss, to update this, has 87 walks in SEC play. They've struck out now 62. Not great at ratios off the top of my head, but that it's not what you want. Powell, a rare chase upstairs. Nothing in 2. Powell's 3 for 4 today with 3 singles. And Witten steps back for a minute. 1-2. Whitten trying to keep this a 2-run ball game. Powell in the air, center field, and Malvin makes the catch. Ole Miss down to their final 3 outs, heading into the bottom half of the 7th, trying to salvage one against Texas A&M. Trying to get one in this 3-game series against Texas A&M. Aggies looking for their 2nd series sweep in league play. They've out hit Ole Miss today 14-8. Things really turned around back in that 5th inning. KK DeMent hit her 2nd home run of the day following a grand slam. It was 7-1 Texas A&M. Then the Rebels scored 5 runs in the 5th inning. Off 4 hits, including a 2-run homer by Percy Yamas, got the Rebels within 1. Michaela Wark in the 6th hit a 3-run shot to give A&M some more cushion. Then the Rebels responded in the 6th with 2 runs, and that's your 10-8 ball game right now. Trying to get this crowd into it. And the Rebels have the personnel at the plate that probably they would feel the most confident in if they want to issue a 2-run comeback with 3 outs left in the ball game. Percy Yamas, Maddie George, Cassie Reisner at the plate. However, just 1 hit between the 3 of them combined this afternoon. The lone hit from this young woman right here, Percy Yamas. Strike 1, Sydney Peters. Closed out that 6th inning. Back inside the circle for the Aggies in hopes to slam the door shut on Ole Miss and give the Aggies a sweep. One and one. Yamas has 2 home runs in this series now. Yamas now with 3 homers in league play, the most she's had in SEC play in her young career. She had 2 last season. Bouncing ball gets through into right. You saw Edwards and Perez kind of look at each other on that right side. No one nor the other could get there, and Yamas starts his 7th off with a leadoff single.
Finding gaps is so important, especially this late in the game with only 2 runs, needing 3 to go ahead and take the game today. But finding gaps, I think, is going to be key here for Ole Miss if they want to produce a couple more runs to put on the board.
Cassidy Patterson into pinch run for Yamas. Remember, Ole Miss yesterday had the winning run at the plate with runners on 2nd and 3rd, and a pinch runner got picked off at 2nd base to end the game. Maddie George, who can tie this game with 1 swing of the bat, takes strike 1. 0 for 3 today, 2 flyouts and a strikeout. For 13 homers, 2nd most homers hit in a single season by an Ole Miss freshman. Needs 1 more to tie that. Oh and 2. Stays alive. Peters has 3 saves this season. All 3 in SEC play, which leads the conference. Had 2 last week against Georgia. Gets away from Kowalewski, and Patterson moves up to 2nd base. Good read by the pinch runner. Patterson, senior, transferred in from Nova Southeastern. Began her career at Indian River State College. George with another foul ball, 1-2. Big deep breath by the freshman. And leads Ole Miss in RBIs, homers, slugging percentage, and total bases. 2-2.
She's having such a strong at bat right here, being able to lay off some of those pitches you've seen her kind of swing at and miss. You can tell she wants to come up big for her team, but can she get it done?
0 for 3 today. She has 3 hits in the series. Full count. Had 2 home runs on Friday. George, her second career multi-home run game in her young career. 1 for 3 yesterday, and now 0 for this afternoon. Ole Miss down 2. George back up the middle, slowly bouncing into center. Patterson with the red light on third. Tying runs on first base. And you know Jamie Traxel will throw in a pinch runner for George, who now has a hit in her last 3 games, and that brings up Cassie Reisner, who has been electric in her last 5 games. 11 for 18 coming into the series finale with 4 homers and 10 RBIs. And she represents the winning run at the plate with nobody out. And the tying run on first base for Ole Miss. Izzy Rediger, the one who got picked off yesterday at second base to end the game, is pinch running at first. She's the tying run.
You can imagine that she won't let that happen again.
Talk about a redemption story for her at first base right now. Reisner pops up. Shallow center, out number 1. Now a double play ends it for Texas A&M. Another dicey 7th inning in this series. Ole Miss couldn't close it out yesterday, had the game-winning run at the plate. Tenley Grisham comes up. With 1 away, runners on the corners. And Grisham watches it go by for strike 1. Just 14 hits and 51 at-bats this season for the Philadelphia, Mississippi native. So it's game 39 for her. Oh, and 2. Hitting here for Rachel Connors, who had a solo home run in the second, strikeout looking, and then a walk. And Grisham came in to pinch run for Connors last inning. Coach Traxel keeping her in the game. This is the DP slot, too. Grisham stays alive. The lone Mississippian, too.
The only
roster.
one.
Had a couple last year, but she's the lone one playing for the home state team. Line drive, left field, drops down. Patterson touches home. It's a 1-run game, and the tying run moves up to second base. Ole Miss will not go away. Tenley Grisham's 5th RBI this year. It's the bottom of the order now due up for Ole Miss. Leilana Applin with a single in her last at bat. Also a walk and a bloop out today. Izzy Rediger's the tying run on second base. She's the one that got picked off yesterday to end the game with the winning run at the plate.
On second base, too. Hopeful not to see that situation happen again today.
That clinched the series for Texas A&M yesterday. Oh, and 2. Ole Miss has done a really good job staying alive despite being behind in the count. You saw it from George, saw it from Grisham in her last at bat, and now here Applin.
I think that's been a story of theirs all weekend, really. You know, I think that, you know, yesterday we talked about climbing the ladder pretty slow, but at least they're climbing. You know, I think that at least they're given an opportunity.
Drop third strike, doesn't matter. Strike 3 for Applin. Sydney Peters gets a massive second out with a tying run on second base.
That's just a tough pitch right there. I think, too, you know, Sparks has had a little bit different of an approach today. She's been really known to throw her rise ball and to kind of locate that in a couple different positions. But I think here she's also getting them on that off speed, knowing that this team has struggled with that most of the weekend.
The game comes down to Ryan Starr, who is 2 for 3 today. It's her first multi-hit game since March of 2024. Tying runs on second base. Ole Miss trying to salvage one in this 3-game series. The Aggies looking for the sweep. And Starr watches it go by. Now 1 and 2. Starr down to her last strike. The 1-2. Got her swinging. Strike 3. Peters closes the door and gives the Aggies their second sweep in SEC play. Ole Miss fought back all weekend. Just could not get over the hump. They never led this weekend. But in games 2 and 3, a dicey 7th inning in which Texas A&M stood tall in both games. All in all, even though it's an A&M sweep, still a fantastic series between these two.
Yeah, I think that what you like to see from Ole Miss this weekend was their ability to stay alive offensively and to be able to kind of match the same energy that the Aggies kind of brought to the field all weekend long.
That does it for us in Oxford. Thank you so much for sticking with us this entire weekend. Phenom Jack Robertson directed it. Mason Atkins, the genius, produced it. Got the best crew in the SEC who also took care of us today. Kudos and big thanks to them. And for Carly Hummel, I'm Jake Kermada saying so long from Oxford. Texas A&M completes the sweep with a 10-9 win over Ole Miss on this Sunday. It's been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader. We'll talk to you next time. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.